Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to wherever it is in the world you are streaming. Here on Twitter, as well as those of you on YouTube, welcome back to another edition of Late Night with Wob. What a 6 hours that we had. Let me get all my technology straight, and I'll be right with you guys. All right, I can see all the chats. I can see. All right, you guys are starting to pile up in here. Good to see everybody. Let's talk about it, as we had an eventful night in the association. Takeaway, again, I just hit the button as soon as the final buzzer went off. So I haven't looked at any stats. We'll look at them together. This is all just going to be immediate reaction. Takeaways from what we just witnessed, and as well as me having to eat my big fat L that I picked the Denver Nuggets to win the 2026 NBA championship, and they're out in the first round. Not a great look. What's happening, chat? I know you guys are going to be piling up in here. What's up, Josh? Malone Burner, B. Danielson. Takeaways from this one. I mean, it has to start with Jaden McDaniels, right? So that was chat, correct me if I'm wrong, that's his playoff career high in points, but honestly, who gives a shit about the points? What he just did to Jamal Murray is going to make people forget what he has accomplished throughout his career, because we live in a what have you done for me lately type of society. People have memories that last 15 minutes. And I understand that Jamal Murray, unless he's playing the Lakers, hasn't been hitting teams with the same potency of poison that he did in the bubble during those 3-1 comebacks. But considering the injuries tonight for the Timberwolves, considering the experience that Jokic and Murray have as a duo, considering the lack of offense, creativity, execution, preparation time for the minutes, this is as big of an upset as it gets. And I do need to live up to my promise. I did say my reputation was on the line. Mikey, thank you for the reminder. I really stacked it up on these Denver Nuggets. And it would take something as egregious an outlier as this for them to get eliminated, and it just happened. But what Jaden McDaniels has just done to Jamal Murray defensively, there was a point in that game where I thought to myself, Jamal Murray cannot be on the floor. You got to get him out of there. We're talking about Jamal Murray here. Jamal Murray. How many big moments has he had throughout his career? No matter the size mismatch. Now, granted, Jaden McDaniels probably has a foot wingspan on him. He's got 8 inches on him. What Jaden McDaniels just did to him, someone please, I know the stats got to be out there. With Jaden McDaniels as the primary defender, I have to imagine Jamal Murray tonight was close to something like 4 of 17 at best. He was not only irrelevant, but a liability. I got to the point that I was thinking, is Julian Strawther available? He had a way off moment off the side of the backboard on a dribble drive, and he's getting picked out like he is Trae Young, like he is Isaiah Thomas, the one from the Boston Celtics, at times like Jalen Brunson. He's getting picked out defensively by a Minnesota Timberwolves team that barely had enough guys to play an 8-man rotation tonight. I know I have a couple of longtime viewers of the show in the chat. You were with me during the bubble when I was doing shows from the back of my car in the middle of the woods, because it was the only place with power. And I made a pledge to Jamal Murray that I'm going to stick with, despite it being rough times, that I said as long as he is, for what he did against the Utah Jazz and then eventually the Los Angeles Clippers coming back from those 3-1 deficits, and how much I was able to profit off of him, either financially or emotionally. He will be my favorite player outside of the New York Knicks until the day he retires. But man, our ship is taking on water right now. 2 things can be true. I can love you for what you've accomplished, but that version of Jamal Murray has been sent back into time. And I'm talking like 300 kick into that endless pit by Jaden McDaniels. That was almost, it wasn't it wasn't the most embarrassing thing that happened tonight, but it was pretty fucking close. Good point in the chat here. I'm going to do my best, people, to not just yap and yap and yap. I like to open with some thoughts, but this is meant to be an interactive Q&A. I can see all the chats that are coming in. A good one here from K-Hat ZES. Murray was torn apart by this exact team and scheme in 2024. How should they have adjusted? Well, if we're looking for blame, we got plenty to spread around if you're the Denver Nuggets. It starts, of course, at the very top. My first index finger goes to the Kroenke family for letting Tim Connolly go. This is now, after that championship, I've lost track of how many times the Timberwolves have beaten these guys. And this one in particular has to feel so good. It has to feel so good because you are handicapped unlike any other matchup in the past. And this is, in my opinion, the best team on the record, and I'll stick with it. This is the best team that Nikola Jokic has played with in his career, including the championship run. I thought the moves that they made this offseason complemented him wonderfully. Statistically, eye test, the best season of his career. And all of that just doesn't matter now because 82 games, I know he didn't play 82 games. He had his injuries, so just bear with me. But 82 games of a regular season can be completely wiped away by just 6 or 7 in the playoffs. And that's what's happened here. No one is ever going to give a shit now to what Nikola Jokic does in the regular season because there has been enough time since the championship that everyone is wondering how this will continue to translate, considering that the Minnesota Timberwolves exist. So when I point that finger to the Kroenke family, you write that man a blank check, Tim Connolly, to prevent him from going not only to the Minnesota Timberwolves, but a division rival, a team at the time that had Anthony Edwards and a Jaden McDaniels coming up that he can now supplement with major blockbuster trades from Karl Anthony Towns to Julius Randle and DiVincenzo. He has built a team that was designed to beat you specifically in the trade for Rudy Gobert at the time. I also, as much as I need to catch some L's tonight, I also will send them out for everyone that dares to come in here to blow up my spot. First thing I will do is look up your history, what you had to say when the Rudy Gobert trade went through between Utah and Minnesota, considering how much Minnesota paid. Minnesota paid that much because now after this playoffs, Rudy Gobert has played in, let's call it 100 games against Nikola Jokic throughout his career. 4 per season during the regular season, the playoffs, and internationally between Team France and Team Serbia, whether it's Eurobasket, the Olympics. Has anyone out there seen Nikola Jokic as much, let's just start with the experience, as Rudy Gobert? Number 2, Rudy Gobert is so smart, skilled, and blessed with wingspan, athleticism, and an ability to go vertical to protect the rim that he doesn't have to leave his feet. So many guys that defend Nikola Jokic because of where that release point is behind his head, trebucheting that basketball towards the hoop, they have to jump. And there's no one better out there at pump faking, drawing contact, getting to the rim. When was the last time you've ever seen Rudy Gobert leave his feet or close out recklessly to guard Nikola Jokic? If he flybys, he stops short of passing him and he sits on the right hand so that Nikola Jokic has to finish with his left. And he has the wingspan to meet him at the rim. Nikola Jokic put up a big box score tonight, but if you have watched any of these games, I don't care what the final numbers are, you can't tell me that he's not majorly influenced by Rudy Gobert. You don't want Rudy Gobert on an island, guarding 5 out, 0 in small ball, as Terrence Mann and the Los Angeles Clippers showed us many moons ago in that Jazz Clippers series. You don't want Rudy Gobert out on an island against someone like Luka Doncic, even though he technically forced Luka into a shot that was plan B, whatever. But you understand my point. Where you do want Rudy Gobert is when he has the mental binder on an opposing player because of how many times they've faced each other, and someone that doesn't have the explosive athleticism, not at the rim, but creating space and dragging him into the deep end of the pool. Nikola Jokic, despite the Sombor shuffle, has never been that player. So it is a particular matchup where Rudy Gobert and during the regular season, Ivica Zubac is actually the best statistical defender against Nikola Jokic. They have a lot in common, don't they? From experience, knowing where Zubac is in his neck of the woods, plus all the games that they've faced each other. Two guys who don't leave their feet and are anchored. So Rudy Gobert at least making Nikola Jokic look mortal tonight in this series was the beginning and the end and ultimately the demise of these Denver Nuggets. Now you bring in Jaden McDaniels, who talks the talk, walks the walk, backs it all up. He gets automatically indoctrinated. There is no ballot process. He goes into the shit-talking Hall of Fame because what he did, what he said, 95 times out of 100, maybe even 99 times out of 100, results in the other team bulletin board material. It always comes back to bite you. Always comes back to bite you. They lose game 5 at altitude. They understand that this is probably the game we need to close out. Otherwise, we're in trouble. We all saw Rudy Gobert back there in game 5 with the oxygen mask on. Going to be huffing and puffing. They get a little extra juice with their role players because guess what? Denver doesn't have any right now with Peyton Watson and Aaron Gordon sidelined. What I just watched tonight was athletic dominance. I wish I could put together a compilation of how many times there was a loose ball, a 50-50 ball, as we like to call them, a 50-50 ball that ended up in Minnesota's hands. It felt like Harvey Dent out there flipping his coin. It was always going to let heads, and one side is burned. You didn't stand a chance. How many times they fumbled one of those rebounds. Jamal Murray's getting picked on. They don't have Aaron Gordon, their most important athletic swingman, Swiss Army knife, 3-and-D guy. And they beat them to every ball. And they didn't have anybody, even if they had a rappel, if they had one of those, like, I've never been rock climbing like this, but when you rappel down like a harness and you latch on a carabine, I think it's called, you could have done that with Jamal Murray to Terrence Shannon Jr., and that shit would have just snapped. The bungee would have just snapped. I don't know why that's the analogy that just came to mind, but hopefully it made some sense. And this kid, Terrence Shannon Jr., really thinking about bringing an old tweet back, but I didn't. He was dunking back in I think it was the 2024 Summer League in the Thomas and Mack Center, where this dude was dunking so hard. I remember a couple of fans thinking a gunshot had gone off inside the arena. There were a couple of dunks where everyone, at least sitting courtside and the media, was like, anybody else see this shit? And I know he was doing that with the Illini. But his first step, explosiveness, athleticism was on display amongst, honestly, competition that was not worthy of being on the same floor as him, despite the top ranked rookies. But you're like, wait, is that it? Like, this is noticeably an athlete that nobody can stay in front of. And he was on a mission tonight. I'm going to go to my left hand. And if you don't properly close out and beat me to the spot, I'm going to turn the corner, go right down, and I'm going to throw down something so nasty that if you jump, they're going to have to stop the game to send out paramedics to check on you. There's a reason why no one was stepping in front of him. Would you? Now, Terrence Shannon Jr., this is not a surprise. The one game that Minnesota came out there and beat Oklahoma City in the conference finals was led by Terrence Shannon Jr. hitting some of those threes in a similar opportunity. But tonight was different because their backs are up against, well, I don't want to say they were facing elimination, but it practically felt that way with this game being at home. And he was going to be the center of the offense, considering there was no Anthony Edwards, no Dante DiVincenzo, no Ayo Dosunmu, who just dropped 40-something points earlier this series. I asked the question on today's radio show, and I'd like to repeat it. After Julius Randle scores 30 points, where are you going to find the other 70 if you're Minnesota? Well, about half of those came from Jaden McDaniels. You know you were going to need Naz Reid to go out there and play 35 to 40 minutes. He stepped up, former sixth man of the year. has experience, not afraid of the moment. He went out there and delivered. But then it was Terrence Shannon Jr., in my opinion, that really demoralized Denver into thinking, I don't know if we have the athletes to just keep up with these guys. The only movie analogy I can think of is Remember the Titans, where what's his face? Ryan Gosling comes running over to the sideline and says, Coach, you got to put Petey in. He's too fast. I can't guard him. Put Petey in. I know he can do it. Then go give him, if you want to quit or if you want to be replaced, go give it to him yourself. And there were 5 Ryan Goslings on the floor trying to defend Terrence Shannon Jr. tonight. They were looking at the back of his jersey almost every time he put the ball on the floor. And while Jaden McDaniels wasn't necessarily needed to create offense as a table setter, if I am the Denver Nuggets and I have to watch this guy get to the elbow, the free throw line extended, turn and face against someone that could stand there, gather, and jump as high as they possibly can, and it still would not obstruct the view of what Jaden McDaniels was looking at the rim. He was just getting up midi after midi after midi, completely unbothered because he's got this little Oompa Loompa and Jamal Murray guarding him. Or, like, you can't have Christian Brown on the floor because he's a three-point liability. Julian Strawther, despite his game 6 against Oklahoma City, doesn't get onto the floor. He's battling injuries too. You are out of bodies and you are out of athletes. So at the end of the day, this Minnesota Timberwolves team was constructed not only, well, obviously to beat Denver specifically, because Tim Connolly knew that was the path forward. But I never guessed it would have been in a way where athleticism supersedes execution, experience, and skill. Because tonight, they got ran out of the gym. That was hard to watch. Speed kills. And those 2 teams that made the finals last year in the Indiana Pacers, OKC Thunder, are the epitome, the billboard of that. Hockey shifts of guys that can be made available to play if needed. And they just seemingly never stop getting out into secondary transition. Even after made buckets, they put downhill pressure on you. And Denver was not up for that fight tonight. They were not up for that fight this series. If they could force their will upon Minnesota and slow the game down, those are the games that they won. But you got to win 4 out of 7 times, man. And this is now the 2nd straight postseason where perhaps I am valuing the currency of experience a little too much. If you named me a duo right now with a gun to my head, a gun to my family saying, if they don't get you a bucket, you're dead. The first duo I'm thinking of is Jokic and Murray in a game of 2s. Obviously taking them first, right? But my follow-up question should be, are we playing in the half court or are we playing in the full court? Because 2s are usually played in the half court. This series was played in the full court. And once again, the younger, versatile athlete that is motivated by competition and rage more than the cool, calm, and collected veteran wins. Shocking. But I guess I shouldn't be shocked. Apparently everyone else knew it but me. I don't know how this team is ever going to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves. All right, I need to catch up on some chats here. My silence is me just reading, guys, so if you would like to ask something, now would be the time. Oh, a couple of things. So how about Chris Finch? Thank you to, this is inspired by Josh Gitman in the chat. How about Chris Finch in the just north of the 4-minute mark in the 4th, and then right before the 3-minute mark in the 4th, calls he had 4 timeouts remaining, and he essentially did use it or lose it timeouts. Not only was he able to set up a half court ATO, one of them resulted in a bucket off a second chance and the other did not. But even if it didn't result in points, he understood that I need to make sure I use all of these timeouts for the sake of getting these guys some rest, because they had to play practically the entire fourth quarter. And the trust he had to go with Terrence Shannon Jr. Instead of Mike Conley in some spots there in the fourth too. Like, he had all the right buttons. So Chris Finch buys his guys 2 timeouts that maybe would not have been called if they were at full strength, plus the TV timeout at the 3-minute mark. There were 3 timeouts called there between 4:30 and 2:30 left in the fourth. Yes, it also helps Nikola Jokic, who didn't come out once since the 4-minute mark in like the second quarter. It gets him some much needed rest. But it was the Timberwolves who were shorthanded tonight. I thought that was essential to getting to the finish line. What else you guys got? God, there's so many chats. Yeah, Carly says that Denver's defensive rebounding was atrocious. Guys, you can play 24 seconds of great half-court defense, and it just doesn't fucking matter if you don't get the rebound, because then you have to go into scramble mode where there's mismatches all over the floor, and then you end up having to recklessly close out because they're just swinging the ball around the perimeter. How many times tonight did we watch Jokic get stripped, fumble some shit away, Jalen Clark defending like a fucking demon? My God. Perhaps Jamal Murray was so inefficient because the entirety of that second quarter, when Jaden McDaniels was catching a quick breather, we watched Jalen Clark get unleashed on Murray, barely getting the ball across the half court line before an 8-second violation. And then it felt like 5 game minutes where Murray and Jokic are running dribble handoffs with each other, standing on the Wolves on the half court logo. They could have gone backcourt like 3 different times. And before they actually start getting downhill, there's only 7 seconds left on the shot clock. That defensive intensity from Minnesota tonight resulted in the Nuggets only having plan A as an option. You get the ball across half court. You run a set. It could be a basic pin down. It could be Horns twist. It could be elevator door screen for a jump shooter on the other side of the floor. There's a plan A. And if that doesn't work, we do a little loop and turn it into like a flex cut or something. That's natural motion for our offense. That's plan B. But when you have these hyenas unleashed on Jamal Murray, has his back turned to the rim for 15 seconds of the 24 on the shot clock, and then they start running some shit, it just comes down to pretty basic pick and roll. And if you run it 100 times and you have Rudy Gobert, who's seen it 1,000 times, at least thousands of times, now you can understand why, and perhaps offer the explanation as to why Jamal Murray was so inefficient tonight. And I need to also share that I declared, at least on the radio show, and I think I did it on a previous late night with Wob, that no matter what the circumstances are, if the Timberwolves are able to pull off this series somehow, some way, after all of those major injuries to a majority of their starting lineup and mainstays, that you can no longer have Nikola Jokic as the consensus best basketball player in the world. Shea is the MVP, but that is a separate title. For a wrestling reference, think of the Intercontinental title, the WWE belt, and then the heavyweight title. Like the heavyweight title, or the Universal title, or whatever it's called nowadays. The heavyweight title is the best basketball player in the world. That has been Nikola Jokic for the past couple of years. He has been impeached and removed by the Basketball Senate, and primaries do begin starting in the second round for his successor. You cannot be the best basketball player in the world and lose this game. I don't care how good Jaden McDaniels played. I don't care who was and wasn't available. You just can't be the best basketball player in the world getting bounced in the first round, considering what the other team had at their disposal. So now we will go into the second round, reevaluating who that should be. Should it be Shea, who's MVP, clutch player of the year, finals MVP, and then best basketball player in the world? That's likely going to happen if OKC wins. But Victor Wembanyama, in my opinion, if he were to beat OKC and somehow win a championship, is just acclimated. Like, just write him in there in blood. Those are my two candidates. Some of these chats are ridiculous. Oh, that Rudy Gobert left-handed. He tried some of this shit at the end of the regular season, didn't he? And there was a big game, I forgot, that the Timberwolves played where he threw that same pass away, but he does this like left-handed scoop underneath bullshit where he whips a Tom Amansky frozen rope to the corner. And I think it was to Shannon Jr. at the shot clock buzzer. As soon as that shit went in, I was like, oh, this is over. Yes. I mean, watching a team actually get a stop and not able to secure the rebound is the most frustrating thing in the world if I'm a fan of the Denver Nuggets or honestly anybody. Like, the possession is not over until you get a rebound, and they just didn't have bodies. There was a play, guys, in the first half towards right before halftime where Jamal Murray actually put in work boxing someone out. He had position on the block. I want to say it was like 3 minutes left. If you want to go look up the timestamp, and the ball is just like on a silver platter coming down. Gravity is pulling it down to him, and he jumps for it. He wasn't bird watching, standing there like a gargoyle. He actually jumped for it. And Jaden McDaniels is in the opposing corner, and he not only crashes and jumps, but he doesn't jump into Jamal. He jumps vertical. He gets right behind him, and he just reaches up, snatches the ball, lands, keeps the ball above his head, and just drops it in the hoop. Like, McDaniel's standing reach has to be 9 fucking feet. And he just, over the top, he just grabs it out of Jamal's hands. Thank you. And just places it in the hoop. Watching the Nuggets get stops, and then that shit happening all night. Shannon Jr. chasing down balls. Jalen Clark chasing down balls, making everyone's life hell. Not that they needed extra motivation, but these are guys that are playing for opportunity in their careers, right? If you're Shannon Jr. and Jalen Clark, how are you supposed to find minutes if DiVincenzo is included, pre-injury, of course, is included in the blockbuster trade for Karl Anthony Towns? He's, of course, always going to be prioritized, and so are the guys that are getting paid. So opportunity is very rare, but it usually does come at some point, hopefully not in these circumstances, unless you're able to just turn the tables like those two were. Jalen Clark was such a liability tonight that they were turning his back on him when he was lining up for threes, and he had one air ball that was like not even close to going in. There's just adrenaline pumping through his body. But the work that he put in defensively made up for that, because Jamal Murray just did not have his legs in the fourth quarter. And I would like to attribute a lot of that to him just making his life hell for 2 straight hours. I mean, that is some of the best on-ball defensive tape that you can put together. He was physical without fouling. He was frustrating. And McDaniels, when he was tasked with guarding Murray, those two just wiped away the dude that I've grown so accustomed to being a guarantee in the clutch. And now we do have to have a conversation about Jamal Murray and this Denver Nuggets team at some point, because Jamal Murray, unless it's against the Lakers, has had a couple of poor playoff performances. The end of the regular season in the second half, he laid some stinkers, man. Some stinkers late at night. But he always made up for it with a barrage of blue arrows that would block out the sun. He always made up for it in the clutch, because you're just like, God, this guy's clutch, but it would be nice if we didn't have to rely on someone who is put into these hero ball spots. Is it sustainable? And the answer is quite simply no. Part of that is his own fault, but of course, he's not going to miss by accident when wide open, or at least on purpose. It was the pressure put onto them that is noticeably different when they're home. The Timberwolves are at home. They get juiced up with unlimited turbo or on fire energy from NBA Jam, as do most teams and players inside of their home gymnasiums. My radio co-host in the NBA for 13 years won an NBA championship with the San Antonio Spurs in 1999. And he preaches to me the basketball Bible, where he says, Rob, I'm just telling you, you got to trust me on one thing. And it's that role players will always play better at home. Always, whether it's the comfort of the building, the support that they have. There's just something about the way you shoot the ball in the comfort of your own four walls, the preparation, getting to the games in the arena. Role players play better at home. It's statistically proven, and also with the eye test. And that's why they had to win this game tonight, and they most certainly did. Well earned. If you're a San Antonio Spurs fan, you're probably jumping with joy right now, considering what the Nuggets and Spurs game looked like on Amazon Prime right before the end of the regular season. That was probably the biggest Sombor shuffle shot of the entire 25-26 campaign. The way that they closed, that game right there was a lot of my explanation. That game was a big reason why I picked the Nuggets to win the championship. I'm like, who's going to out execute this team with them being fully whole, playing some of their best basketball down the stretch? And now I got to sit here and look like an idiot. Thanks to Jalen Clark. So what I'd like to show you really quickly is something that Bobby Marks actually just tweeted here. Let me do this. So real quick, this will be an interesting, very interesting offseason in Denver. So he's saying that this doesn't include Peyton Watson, Spencer Jones, and Tim Hardaway Jr., who they likely will have to let go. They can't afford. But they're going to be hovering around the apron. And there will be some murmurs on whether they want to proceed with Murray and Jokic as a duo. Not saying I don't know any information that you guys don't, but after getting bounced in the first round and realizing that they're just never going to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves again, do you continue to keep this together considering the financial liability that is on the books? They're already going to be close to the apron. And now this team that I just stated was probably the best around Nikola Jokic that he's had in his career. I don't know how they're going to be able to replace these pieces. And it sure would have been nice if Peyton Watson was available and Aaron Gordon, but they can't be using depth excuses against a team that had barely 8 guys. They are tight on the aprons right now. Tight. Good luck, Denver. There is potential that this era is over. More chats. YouTube chat asking me, will this live be saved later? Yeah. I don't think Jokic will opt out. Another question from the chat. I don't think Jokic will opt out. I think he'd rather just sign an extension, but I don't know. It's going to be a while until we figure out some of those answers, people. I'm just baffled. Again, it's hard to think straight considering how many loose balls were retrieved by Minnesota tonight. Like, those were not 50-50 balls. They were 80-20 balls. It felt like Minnesota got to 8 out of every 10. Let's actually see. I think we can look something up here. Give me a second. Stick with me. Holy shit. You guys see this? Right here? 20 second chance points to 4. So I was right. 64-40 in the paint. A team with Nikola Jokic on it. 64-40, but 20-4 on the second chance points. That's your game right there, easily. I think every game has one of those glaring box score statistics for the Celtics. It's their 3-point shooting. With the Knicks, it's rebounding. But tonight, their only chance is when they missed that those crazy athletes that are playing with that unlimited turbo can go in there and create second chance ops for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And boy, did they do that tonight. Shot chart. Look at the difference, man. You guys notice the difference in these shot charts? Let me zoom in for you. No, I don't want Joe Ingles' shot chart. Man, look how many blue circles are in the restricted area for the Timberwolves tonight as opposed to the Nuggets. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 8 or 9 for Denver and like 20 from Minnesota. That right there should be hung in the Rudy Gobert Hall of Fame. Just the presence, man. It's not Victor Wembanyama. And a lot of those blue circles coming out of the short roll in the Murray-Jokic pick and roll, right next to the free throw line where the dashes are, those are all Jokic. Those are like Jokic put shots or drop steps. But everything else is influenced by Gobert, even at this age. There's a noticeable difference here. Oh, that's right. Hey, what's up, Vegan Barbie? So, Battle of the French Defensive Players of the Year. I mean, this is probably, we know that Tony Parker, I'd say Tony Parker, trying to think of the most like famous French basketball player. It's got to be Tony, right? Gobert, short, close second. But you have the long time, multiple time Defensive Player of the Year who has anchored Team France for multiple decades, now going up against a protege slash, I don't even know if it's a protege. I don't want to make it sound like he's an apprentice. I don't know if they have that type of relationship, but who was once the most dominant defensive player in the league, now going up against Victor Wembanyama from the same country. I mean, this is as big of a moment for French basketball as it gets, short of playing the United States in the gold medal match at the Olympics. Gobert versus Wembanyama. That puts French basketball on the map. If you're in that country, if you're watching this from that country, like I have to imagine the coverage is going to be crazy for that one, considering the stakes, because they've played on the same team together. And while I'm on the topic of big guys on the floor concurrently, does anyone have the final number for me? Because I can go look it up. I just don't want to have a bunch of dead air here. When they played Nas, Gobert, and Randall together, they went super jumbo lineup. I believe it was plus 11 in the first half. Plus 11, 3-center lineup. Now, it could work because you have, similar to the New York Knicks with Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns, you can have Naz Reid just standing in the corners for floor spacing purposes. And your hope is that Randall's having one of those nights because he does like to operate outside the three-point arc, and then Gobert down there on the block. But how they were able to retain enough spacing to get up so many open looks tonight. And maybe I am just, my eyes are, the curtains are pulled over them, because maybe they just didn't get open looks, but they got every single offensive rebound or loose ball anyway. So just get a good shot up so that you give your athletes a chance to go out there and out jump, out retrieve, out effort, whatever other terms you want to use. That was on full display tonight. Get Jamal Murray. We're at the point now. I got people in the chat saying, get Jamal Murray out of the NBA. Ni hao. Come on. He was unplayable tonight. The first time that I have ever, my brain is taking, I am lowering expectations. Anyone out there who does investing, sometimes a stock will be, devalued, or an exchange, or an ETF will be downgraded by Moody's or something, right? I am downgrading Jamal Murray's stock. I can't trust Jamal Murray to make up for his liability on defense with his size. He usually makes up for it with clutch shooting ability, clutch playmaking, clutch initiating of the offense. He's a traditional endangered species point guard. He's a lead guard. He's a catch and shoot guard, and he's a scoring guard. He checks all of those boxes in the playoffs. And tonight, they were all left empty while being a liability defensively, plus away off the side of the backboard. That was as brutal and demoralizing as it gets for a guy now that I don't think can be one of your two highest paid players if you want to win a championship. That's my takeaway from this one. He can no longer be eating up near 30% of your cap table. You can't win a championship with someone who is being exposed as a pigeon on the defensive side of the ball like that. Because what Jaden McDaniels did to him on offense, I know we've spoken a lot about his defense. What Jaden McDaniels just did to him on offense is like red alert, DEFCON 1. We need to consider making some overcorrection changes here. And someone in the chat, in the YouTube chat, what's up, Majid, says, if I'm a Denver fan, I'm so pissed that they won the last game of the season. Now, if you told the Denver Nuggets that Anthony Edwards and Dante DiVincenzo were going to be out for games, well, half of game 4, all of game 5, all of game 6, and all of game 7, Denver would have signed up for that at the All-Star break. Yes, we'll take on the Timberwolves if they're going to be devoid of two of their most important players. Dante DiVincenzo is just as important as Ant, because DiVincenzo is the one guy in the backcourt that you can trust to guard positions 1 through 5 and space the floor. He can give you what like Gobert and Naz Reid are supposed to, but in a much smaller, compact form. And they didn't have him, and they still won. Now, Aaron Gordon being out really sucks. He's their one athlete that can certainly nullify a lot of those athletic advantages. I don't think there would have been as many second chance opportunities. I don't think there would have been as many offensive rebounds. I don't think there would have been as much secondary transition, considering how good Aaron Gordon is at getting back, how he can take on any defensive assignment, and more importantly, rebound and close out the defensive possessions. But he just wasn't available, and it's not an excuse because Minnesota didn't have their guys either. Donnie says that series is a stain on Jokic's resume. I agree. And I'm usually, at least, I would say for the most part, I don't fall into prisoner of the moment or hyperbolic takes, because tomorrow it's going to be like a complete State of the Union or referendum on Nikola Jokic. That's the easiest morning talk show topic of all time. ESPN, Fox, national shows. It's just going to be like, where is Jokic ranked now? I can say, someone screen record this video, and if it pops up on the lower third tomorrow on any of those shows, where does Jokic rank after that loss? It's going to be something like that, and they're going to talk about it for about an hour. Oh, a question about other games. Sixers Gunner says, hey, Wob, who would you rather win between Philly and the Celtics in Game 7 as a Knicks fan? Easy for me. Philadelphia all day. I'll be the biggest 76ers fan in the world. We have plenty for Joel Embiid. We have the Block Nest Monster. There will be no taking advantage of the Knicks front line. And I do not want to play the math equation game with the Celtics, because they now have had 3 games where they have, well, technically tonight, do you guys know the Celtics actually won the 3-point battle? This was an outlier game because usually the result is dependent on the how the Celtics shoot the ball from beyond the arc. And they actually, if I'm not mistaken, they made more threes than the Sixers tonight. It wasn't at a great percentage, but I'm going to look it up right now. Game charts. 3-point box score. Celtics 12 of 41. Sixers 11 of 33. So for the first time in this series, the Boston Celtics have made more threes than the Philadelphia 76ers, and they did not win the game. It's not like the Sixers shot the lights out either. As you can see here, it's 11 of 33 from beyond the arc. The Celtics go 29.3%, but their formula has been the same since Joe Mazzulla took over. It's Mazzulla ball. They are going to shoot 41 threes, honestly, is not enough. They are supposed to get up near 50, and their thought process is you cannot outshoot us 4 out of 7 times. And that may still be true, but game 7 is a completely different sport than the first 6. Anything can happen now. Embiid looks pretty decent. Tyrese Maxey is just like that dude, man. That dude. Contagious energy. He's so fast. Easily. Undoubtedly the fastest guy in the NBA with the ball in his hands. Easily. His finishing ability. He finishes with the power of a John Wall and the finesse of a Kyrie. Yeah. You know how Kyrie's spinning shit off the glass all the time and doing crazy up and unders? Now imagine the speed of John Wall, the strength of John Wall in his prime, and then the crazy shit that Kyrie did. I think Tyrese Maxey has that entire layup package. And for him to punish the Celtics for some of their missed threes, because long shots equal long rebounds. And it's really damn difficult to close out that defensive possession, similar to the Denver Nuggets, when that ball is shanking off the rim at 10 miles an hour headed towards the three-point line. That's where the Celtics actually absolutely kill you, because they get offensive rebounds and then it's over. But tonight, when they secured that shit and they got out into the open floor, seeing Maxey just punish them over and over again, that is how you beat the Celtics math equation, with layups and free throws. It's the only way. And you hope that they shoot sub 30%. It is the only way to beat them. They are never going to be a team that just clears out for Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown with their backs to the basket, go get us a Carmelo Anthony bully ball bucket. That's not the way that they operate. They are going to spread the floor. They're going to dribble, drive, penetrate. They're going to kick to the corner, and then it's going to start the merry-go-round. And they're eventually going to end up with an open look. Mikey says, I was with you in the bubble, but it's time to move on, Wob. You are holding on for too long like you did with the Boat Girl. Hey! No need to get personal. Damn. I didn't hold on too long to Boat Girl. Now what was I talking? Now I'm flustered. I will not give up on Jamal Murray. I can still like him while also recognizing that he is no longer worthy of high usage. All of his warts are overwhelming now because he is not making up for it on the other side of the floor. Lomax says that Knicks game was beautiful. I was taking photos of the score all throughout the third. I created that Jalen Johnson meme. He hit a 3. He hit a 3 in the third quarter to cut the lead to 58. That was as emasculating of a elimination as we've ever seen. I thought Suns versus the Mavericks was bad. Not as bad as this one. Nas Reed is a 3. So positions 1 through 5 are not only extinct, but archaic. Like 1 equals point guard, 2 equals shooting guard, 3 equals small forward, so on and so forth. Today, we had Andre Miller on the show, on the radio show, and I asked him to create the ideal basketball lineup in the year 2026. And here's what we settled on. You need to have a lead guard who is your floor general, table setter, but can also catch and shoot. Someone who can be calm, cool, and collected in these chaotic playoff atmospheres. You need a combo guard, which is like a scoring shooting guard. You need 2 3-and-D swingmen that range between 6'6" and 6'10". Extremely valuable pieces. Guys that can guard positions 1 through 5. Those would be like your Aaron Gordons, right? Your Jaden McDaniels. Your Jeremy Grants. You go down the list. There's a lot of them. And then you need a center that's either so... I mean, we're in an era now where I was watching Andre Drummond shoot threes. Too bad that one at the end of the third quarter didn't count because it was a banger. Even Andre Drummond shooting threes now. You can't just be big and protect the rim unless you are Rudy Gobert, specifically on the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's like the only example of someone that's probably a net positive and where nobody respects his ability to shoot. The unmistaken Mitchell Robinson also qualifies, but Mitchell Robinson only plays between 15 and 20 minutes. So you need a 5 that can protect the rim, but also stretch the floor. That's your perfect roster. Lead guard, combo guard, 2 3-and-D guys, and a floor stretching big man. That is the ideal construction of a roster in 2026 and speaks to how the game is transformed or evolved depending on your opinion of the product. Starry Vids in the chat, in the YouTube chat, says, I'm really appreciating how defense is a big factor in these playoffs. So Starry, yes, amen to that. Because during the regular season, let's just be honest, it is not prioritized whatsoever. There is a different rule book. I know it's written the same, but it is enforced differently. Physicality is enforced differently, significantly differently during the regular season versus the playoffs. And just because we got 14,000 people in here on Twitter and a bunch of you on YouTube, I apologize if you've heard me say this before, but because I know it as a fact, I just need to state it so that it supports my point. I do know that the referees union has instructed their officials for these playoffs to only blow the whistle when they are sure of the call. Now, that sounds simple, right? But the way that they're being graded and judged by their superiors is on all the calls that they make that are wrong. And they're doing that because they are, in a way, telling them, we only want you to blow the whistle when it's obvious. You know what the result is? A lot of grabbing, a lot of like extra steps. And like, if it's close, they're letting it go. It increases the flow of the game. There's less whistles. The product is different, but they are playing a different sport. So physicality gets enforced a lot differently, which is certainly a big reason why the Oklahoma City Thunder are so successful, because they were getting away with a lot during the regular season, let alone now in their ability to train the officials. I can put Minnesota in that same category now defensively, where they are so physical that you may blow that shit in the first quarter, but we dare you to think that you can blow that in the fourth if we keep up this level of intensity. So the referees naturally get whistle fatigue, the same way we get voter fatigue in politics or voting for certain NBA MVPs or whatever your city council. Like, there's just voter fatigue is only natural. There's whistle fatigue too. So Minnesota qualifying and or classifying as one of those extremely physical teams that doesn't have a single liability on the defensive side of the floor, you can see how that overwhelming pressure and how their bench guys tonight were able to go out there and defend without fouling, and how detrimental that was to who I would argue to be the most efficient, trustworthy closing duo in the world. By the time they got to that point where it was closing time, it didn't look the same. And I think part of that execution is due to fatigue, or lack of execution is due to fatigue. Lack of execution is Those defenders feeling the gem, never getting tired, being prepared. And it was certainly the defensive side of the ball and the off-ball activity that won the game for the Timberwolves tonight. All of those second chance points that we just looked up, that is easily the explanation for this one. Easily. I thought the eye test suggested that. That's why we went and looked. It was even worse than I thought. It was like quintuple. Just faster to the ball. And you need guys that are willing to lay out. Every team's got one right now, like Asar Thompson flying around in game 5. Josh Hart, I'm fear for his life every time there's a loose ball, the way that he goes after those things. Every team needs someone who's going to do the dirty work. And the thing with the Minnesota Timberwolves is they have not just one, they have multiple. All the way down to the end of the bench, as we saw that on full display tonight. More questions. What's up, Jish? Wolves are begging for expansion because they're the likely team to move east if the NBA expands to Vegas and Seattle. This current iteration would be finals contenders in the East. Fair assessment. Ocho Final Ride says, Wob, just tell me about the Wolves. I'm getting ready for bed. Put me to bed happy about my team. I think I just did that. I just took one of the biggest L's of my playoff prediction career. I had a streak where I picked 9 out of 10 champions in a row, but that was back when there were only 3 or 4 teams that we all knew were going to win it. With this parity, I'm getting embarrassed by the Clippers, now the Nuggets. And before all these Wolves fans in the chat keep fucking trolling me, show me your bracket. Send me your bracket. You put yourself out there. Jay Peasy's asking, why do so many people hate Jamal Murray? What does he do besides kill the Lakers? I just need to know why he's hated. I can't answer that. I don't think he's hated. He's just hated because he had a bad game. Can I, real quick, I need to give a shout out, if you guys wouldn't mind for a second. I was supposed to insert the, I'm supposed to be providing, and now it's not even logged in. I don't even know what my password is. If this doesn't work, I'm in trouble. That didn't work. All right. Oh, here we go. I just want to give a shout out to our partners here that are the reason why this stream is running, and that would be ProfitX. If you have any sports investing needs, I hope you guys consider them, as they have lines up for tomorrow. Wait, there's 4 games? Wait, no. Oh, because one of them 76ers at Celtics. I was just about to say there's no way there's 4 games on tomorrow. Lakers, Rockets, Cavs, Raptors. Wow, Rockets 3.5-point favorites without Kevin Durant. That's interesting. Detroit catching 3.5, laying 3.5, excuse me, on the road. Cavaliers. Well, and I do not like that. Tomorrow, people, I would love me some Raptors plus 5.5 there at ProfitX. All right, let me get to some more questions here, if that's okay with you. Someone in the YouTube chat saying, I really just want you to talk me off a ledge with my Lakers. I'm the only one very worried. Rockets have to win 2 more games. And game 7's in LA. Do not worry about this shit. Do not worry about this shit until game 7. There's a reason why no one has come back from a 3-0 before. There's been teams that have obviously tied it at 3. But I do a radio show with one of them that was down 3-0, tied the series at 3 before ultimately losing game 7. He was a big part of that team. That was Blazers Mavericks, I think, right? You said when you're down 3-0, man, your mindset is just like regular season. You just got to win 4 games. There's no point in like well, if we win this game, then they're really in trouble. No, you just kind of go out there with the freedom of like, we might as well try some shit. Got nothing else to lose. And it appears that the Houston Rockets are playing with a lot of freedom now. And I know you guys want to talk Wolves Nuggets, but I do have a thought and a question for the chat about what the way that you comprehended what Ime Udoka said after they blew game 3. We'll get to that in just a second. Is that who I think it is in the chat? Is that Wolves guy? David Dolan, let's talk Wolves. I hope it is. How's PLO been treating you? I haven't played poker in a while, actually. Mrs. Wob has been keeping me away from the tables. Thank goodness. Nuggets sober. I might have to be Nuggets sober. I'm Clipper sober. I'm after taking this L. I might have to be Nuggets sober. I mean, I guess I should just disregard everything that happens in the regular season. Like the way that Denver finished, I was convinced that nobody could out execute these guys 4 out of 7 times, even the Spurs. And I thought they could get over the hump against OKC. Boy, do I have pie on my face. Go ahead, get your jokes off on me because I deserve it. I can take an L. I can take the criticism as long as you made a prediction yourself. I have been on the internet I've been on Twitter specifically since like 2008. I can handle the hate, trust me. It's just, I'm numb to it at this point. I got Jorge in the YouTube chat who says, Wob, the ESPN app keeps rewinding the games, and I was watching the game about 20 minutes behind the live feed. That's inconvenient. Oh, that's been happening in the League Pass app too. The audio's been off. It goes back like 2-3 seconds. It's been super annoying. They've had all sorts of technical problems. Amazon's audio visual is off by like a split second. It's so annoying, man. DS Fink says, "Oh, good. Wob, Wolves fans still ride with you from season before where you picked us to go far." Like, yeah. I don't know what else to say. I picked the Nuggets and they lost. I put my emotional stock into Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. They've had multiple 3-1 comebacks. There was no reason to believe they'd do it here, considering who was available for the Wolves, and they fell short. End of day. L. Wolves back 12 in the chat said Jamal Murray said post-game that he was able to get to his spots and was mostly just missing. He also added that he had a lot of injuries that played into the way this series ended up. I want to know, Wob, what your thoughts are on that. Well, everyone's banged up in the playoffs. No one is ever healthy going into it or coming out of it. I disagree that he was getting to his spots. That 3 that he missed, oh my God, with what, 3.5 minutes left. The Nuggets were down by 3, and he had one that like rattled in, went and it popped out. If that shit goes in and they tie the game, Murray sees one go in. I would love to know the butterfly effect of how that game would have played out if that shit went in. Because then Jamal is like, oh, I'm back. And then he's got a little pep in his step. And then that pick and roll starts getting downhill really quickly. But because that shit rattled out, you could tell he went into like slumped shoulders mode. It's like, what else do I have to do to get a bucket around here? That is a huge what if that shot goes in, because I think the Timberwolves got the rebound and either called a timeout or got points at the other end to make it 5. And that was on a second chance opportunity, if I'm not mistaken, with Rudy Gobert. I may have my timestamps messed up because so many plays happened, but if that shot goes in, like this game looks so much different. Question is, how does Mrs. Wob feel about the Nuggets mascot? She likes Crunch. She likes animals. She liked Rocky is one of her favorites. So it was Rocky versus Crunch, but Crunch does advance. Jish says that Murray and Jokic felt like a safe bet. The Nuggets were on a hot streak. Series felt like a toss-up. Nuggets pick wasn't actually, I mean, I appreciate the positive support, but it's an L. I got to take this L. I had the Knicks on the other side. That one would be a surprise. I get to hang my hat on that. Why didn't Jonas Valanciunas play more? Asks Ann. He's been ineffective this series, but he was sure talented this season. He had limited minutes and short stints, but kind of with. It's not that I don't feel like Jokic was fatigued tonight in any way. Like those big box score numbers were the result of him not coming out of the game quite literally since the beginning of the second quarter, or at least halfway through the second quarter. With his usage, he's going to stumble into those stats. We could stumble into those stats if we're on the floor for 42 minutes. A rebound will come to you at some point, right? And if he's going to be on the floor for that amount of time, you need at least 40 out of him, considering Jamal Murray couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. Jay says that my Nuggets pick wasn't bad. They were on a hot streak to end the year. I don't know where they went wrong and just decided, we don't want to do this. I think they got demoralized by a team that they were getting stops against, and that just would not stop hitting them with second chance points. You know how demoralizing that shit is? Like you play great defense. We don't have the bodies to like throw at Jaden McDaniels to prevent him from shooting over the top, or Randall's bully ball, because Jokic can only guard Gobert or someone else. Like who's guarding? There's no Aaron Gordon on the floor. Who the hell is going to guard Cam Johnson? Who's going to guard Julius Randle with him throwing elbows and playing that bully ball that we remember him at Madison Square Garden for? I felt like I was watching a boxing match, man, where those jabs to the liver, they don't knock you out in rounds 1 through 8, but when you get to the championship rounds at 11 and 12, you start slowing down. You stop breathing through your nose, and your organ functionality does not provide you with the same reflexes that you were blessed with the luxury of having in the first half of the fight. Like your body starts to hurt. And to me, using that boxing analogy, the Timberwolves just continuously were jabbing these guys in the liver all night long, and the execution of the best pick and roll on planet Earth did not hit the same as it should have. That is my explanation as to what happened tonight. Is that a fair assessment? Daniel in the YouTube chat says the Wolves were plus 15 when Naz Reid played the 3 with Randall and Gobert. Thank you. Someone finally found that number. Thank you for that. Plus 15. And now, since that I know that number is available, bear with me, guys, for just 1 second, because that means the advanced box score is out. This will tell us the story. Oh, it's not up yet. Damn. Where did you get that? It's not on NBA.com. What site were you using to get the lineup info? No advanced numbers yet on NBA.com. Usually it's midnight Pacific. Dane Moore sent that out. All right. Thank you. What's up, Days Hat? Says yes. Yes to what? You got to be more specific. Korean Sheed says, Wob, speak about how Adelman is cheating on what? Cheating on his wife with a hostess at a. What is this comment? Come on. What do you get? Now you're getting into this man's personal business. I don't even care if you're right or not. I just don't want to read that whole comment. Those memes today for the Morgan Stanley stuff were hilarious, by the way. Group chat was really popping off. Unfortunately, I'm at a stage in my career now where I just really wanted to retweet a couple of those. I can't do it anymore. Who would I pick in a Spurs Thunder Western Conference Finals? Whoo, baby. Well, what does my opinion mean? What does my opinion mean? Who would I pick? How do you pick against OKC right now? Even though San Antonio was the one. Is San Antonio constructed to beat OKC the same way that Minnesota is constructed to beat Denver? Now, they may claim that at some point when it was quite literal in Minnesota. Like Connolly said, I'm coming here so that we beat Denver. Just want to let everybody know. I'm going to build this roster to be Denver and Denver only. And it's worked. Because Denver had just won the championship, and they're the team that we are striving to be the last line of defense against. Now, can San Antonio say that we've built a team to beat Oklahoma City with? Oh, I just gave myself the hiccups. Fuck. Okay. We don't need the JP Morgan comments now. Someone's life is potentially getting ruined the same way that it just happened with a reporter in the NFL. Come on. But they are, I will enjoy the memes privately, but I just don't want to. Not right now. That's what burner accounts are for. No, I can retweet the memes on the burners. Yes, Drew. I was active in the burners all day, just enjoying. But we got a stat of the night from Jish. What did I say? JP Morgan? Did I say something else? And what did I say? My brain is fucking mush. Stat of the night from Jish. This will be the third time all time. This will be the third all-time series between the Spurs and the Wolves. However, it's the first 7-game series in history. The previous 2 were 5-game series won by the Spurs, both times 3-1. I mean, I assume that was Garnett versus David Robinson or Tim Duncan teams. Is 72-22 the most commanding lead of any game ever, given the time of the game? Has there ever been a bigger lead that early in NBA history before? I wish Helwick was here. Maybe Jish can look that up. That feels like the biggest lead that early ever. 50 points, 72-22. Dyson Daniels was the sharpest player in the bunch. He got to leave in the second quarter. I honestly felt bad for the guys. And the Knicks weren't even like, we weren't rubbing it in or anything. We gave them the honor of continuing to compete in the third quarter, and we were still just continuing to blow their doors off. We were treating this as like third quarters, go out there and end this. If I were the Nuggets front office, would I overreact by either firing the coach or trading Gordon or Murray? I think, well, right now, let's do this. So, Denver Nuggets salaries. Take a look at this cap table. Let me just zoom in for you guys so you get a better view. Oh, it's ugly. Nikola Jokic, $60 million. Jamal Murray, oh my God, Jamal Murray's going to be making $57.5 million in 28-29. That looks like Joel Embiid's contract. Aaron Gordon is probably the best bang for your buck on the market. Cam Johnson's on the books. That's another great bang for your buck. Valanciunas, I'll take him at 10. Oh, Zignaji. Oh, Lord. Christian Brown, woof. Christian Brown's going up. He's got his extension kicking in. I forgot about that. Up to 21.5. And they got to pay Peyton Watson. Oh, no. Bobby was right. There's no way. Wow. Bobby's always right, but wow. Yeah. Peyton, this is bad. I didn't realize that it lines up so that Brown's extension and Peyton Watson both need to now be paid. This is going to send them soaring into the apron. Yeah, Jamal Murray's got to be traded. That's the easy answer. Who will trade for Jamal Murray, who's going to make $57.5 million in 2029, considering what we just saw and how much of a liability he is defensively? Who is trading for that? Those blue highlights are player options, by the way. Player, not team options, player options. That's less leverage. Tim Hardaway Jr., goner. For sure gone. How bad? How much do you wish they could be able to swap Christian Brown for Tim Hardaway Jr. at that money? Or even Cam Johnson, just like take that and extend him with. Super Duper Pedro says, shout out to the OG Wob fans from back when he used to change his profile picture to different versions of Adam Silver. Yeah, the only reason why I stopped doing that is because Twitter broke the option to be able to update your name and picture. It requires an approval process. And if you do it enough times, it thinks you're a bot. So that was the reason. I still have all my profile pictures saved in Wabadex, but I can't update them anymore. Too bad. That's wait, you said Simmons Jr. 3? I think you meant Shannon Jr. 3 with 1.5 on the shot clock. Gave me the same demoralizing feeling when Gobert hit that step back on us in game 7 in 2024. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was one of those, like, he flicked it in. He somehow knew there was only a second left on the shot clock. That had no right going in, and yet it did anyway. And was that the one, the result of the Gobert scoop, the underhand scoop to the corner? Oh, I said Morgan Stanley. Sorry. JP Morgan. I got my corrupt banks mixed up. Garnett versus Dunkin' Donuts was some good shit. Yeah, it was. It was KG versus the Dunkin' era Spurs. Let's go. Hellwick's in the chat. Thank the Lord. Austin says, tough night to be a Nuggets fan. I don't know what the offseason entails. I think you meant entails. But who stays, Gordon or Murray, if the choice has to be made? Oh, Gordon stays. Look at that difference in money made. Aaron Gordon at $31.9 million, considering where the cap is headed next year, is one of the best bang for your buck contracts in the NBA. Easily. He is the team's most important player after Nikola Jokic, hands down. His versatility and athleticism was desperately missed tonight. Desperately. And so was Peyton Watson's. Jed in the chat says, Philly's healthy and playing like that. Are they going to take the C's out? I will say no, but they have found the formula on how to negate Boston's advantage beyond the arc. Gobert dimes, eyes in the back of his head. Spencer Jones helping strong side corner with the open Nas 3. Oh, I forgot about that. So we've seen strong side help from James Harden last night as the Raptors were coming back. Strong side help from Spencer Jones for no reason. That is the biggest, I would say the biggest cardinal sins in basketball are never cross-court passing underneath your own basket during full court press. That's number one. Number two, inbounding like actually from the baseline underneath the stanchion in the basket. Number two. Number three for me would be helping out of the strong side corner with where the NBA game is at in 2026. If you help out of the strong side corner, the opposing team will simply just dribble penetrate, get you to collapse, and kick it to the corner where there's likely a guy going to shoot a three-pointer for the most efficient shot in the game at a clip that's probably north of 40%. And he's going to make it. That play, people, is what got Mike Brown fired in Sacramento because De'Aaron Fox fell asleep. He helped out of the strong side corner. Jaden Ivey not only hit it, but De'Aaron Fox recklessly closes out. 4-point play. Mike Brown throws him underneath the bus in the post-game press conference. And a week or two later, he's gone. because then they lost their relationship. But De'Aaron Fox was just like asleep at the wheel, stuck in no man's land, helped out of the strong side corner. That is the cardinal sin. There is nothing you can say that is forgiving of that when someone makes the three. Because last night James Harden got scolded by Dennis Schroeder. If you guys go back into the final 5 minutes when the Raptors were making that run, you can see Schroeder turn around and be like, "Bro, stop hedging out of the corner." And then Harden was like, "Man, I'm just pointing around. You're supposed to be here." Like Schroeder's like, "Man, just stay in the corner. You don't leave the strong side corner. You can leave the weak side corner, but not the strong side corner. The weak side corner requires a full cross-court pass. And by the time that ball is traveling through the air, there was enough time to hopefully be able to close out against." That has New Orleans Pelicans written all over it. Oh, that Jamal Murray contract just became a burden because of one game. Congratulations, Glacier Joe, who's obviously having himself a night. Come on in here and celebrate. I deserve it. And congratulations to the Wolves. That is one of the most hard earned victories, considering how many guys were down, that you will see. Somebody in here I saw did look up the Knicks. Oh, thank you, Trendsetter, who said the Knicks plus minus was the highest for any game, 6-game series in NBA history. That's not the stat I was looking for. I was looking for, oh, of course, it's Hellwick. The Mavericks led the Clippers 77-27 at halftime on December 27th, 2020. How did you know that? So that, yes. So Gobert's frozen rope to the corner was that scoop that Shannon just caught and practically alley-ooped from the corner. Yeah. And you're telling me, was that Walkies in the YouTube chat? Was that Spencer Jones who wasn't there to stay at home on Terrence Shannon? Yeah, honestly, Orlando would be a great place. They can make up for a lot of that defense for Jamal Murray, but who do they have on the books that you can trade $50 million? You got to swap contracts. Who's making 50 mil on that team? You're not trading Bain. You're not trading Paolo. Is it Franz? You're trading Franz for the Jamal Murray? Hell no. I don't even know what their books look like. Demon asks, is it worth rushing Ant back? Hell no. Hell no. He's going to be treated like this is the regular season. Anthony Edwards is still at the beginning of his career. He's 3 years behind Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Hell no. If he comes back and blows his Achilles, tears a hamstring off the bone, he may never recover from that. Hell no. And it's the Spurs, man. They would be favored against the Timberwolves straight up, let alone without all those bodies. Hell no. Like even Kevin Durant isn't rushing back for Houston, and their backs have been up against the wall. Yeah, guys, come on. He may ultimately come back, but the question was about rushing him for a game 1 or game 2. That's a huge no for me. Austin says this was Jamal Murray's best season 2 since tearing his ACL in 2021 and finally healthy all year. And game 6 was a no-show. Unbelievable. Yeah. And Jamal Murray had some fourth quarters this year where he was just lighting the world on fire, even after a bad shooting game. Nuggets fans know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of those games at home where you're playing some inferior team and then he just erupts. And it just never came tonight. If that 3 goes in, maybe it's a different story. Again, the one that rattled out, but shit. Oh, thank you for clarifying. So Ewok, says the three from Shannon was actually Tim Hardaway Jr. late helping the helper for Murray. Okay, so that to me sounds more like a scramble situation versus someone helping out of the strong side corner. There is no strong side corner when Gobert has the ball in the restricted area. Yeah. Jamal Murray did it against the Grizzlies, the Wizards. Man, there were times when the Nuggets were down to a team that you're like, how the fuck is this close? And then Jamal Murray just reached into that bag with a handful of blue arrows and just killed for sport so many times. That's why I'm sitting here. I'm like, who's going to out execute these guys 4 out of 7 times, considering how good Murray is at closing out games? And it was just a slag. I got slapped in the face by reality. What a crazy playoffs, man. What a great start to this shit. This has been chaotic. And ultimately, a lot of these top seeds may end up advancing, but like Detroit will have to come back from 3-1. This Rockets Lakers series is in uh-oh territory. Because the Lakers, even with Reeves, I mean, very vulnerable. These series have been great. Though, I mean, I watch the regular season. I imagine a lot of you watch the regular season. I watch it for entertainment value. And there are times when like Wemby's playing Jokic and you can tell like, oh, they actually care about this game. And those are the ones that you try and watch to form your opinions on because they're far and few between. It's those nationally televised games when there's something on the line, whether it's an MVP narrative. Like you can tell when teams are like, oh, we're playing our rosters tonight. We're going for it. But for the most part, the regular season is just a bunch of like punching the time clock. Somebody's out. It's a different sport. In the playoffs, maybe it's because I'm so frustrated and disgruntled with the regular season product, knowing what the NBA is capable of. These games, these playoff games are fucking awesome. Like the sport of basketball is being displayed majestically by these athletes. And while I prefer the rules of FIBA, like the way that they are enforcing physicality right now is my personal preference. Like if it's 50-50, just let it go. I'm not looking for everyone to prison ball rules and kill each other and everyone call their own fouls. But the product and the flow of the game has been very attractive to me. And it makes enduring the regular season worth it when it's paid off with weeks of hoops that look like this. It's a long regular season, 6 months of like, why would any mainstream sports fan, any fan in general, like give a shit unless it's your job, unless you're an absolute sicko? Like, what is the reason for me watching this instead of this? Stars don't play, load management, apathetic defenses, whistles all over the place because younger officials are being graded differently than the veteran crew chiefs do in the playoffs. But I do feel a lot better about all that when this happens. I now have just completely just I forgot the regular season happened. I just don't know if that's great for the business of the NBA, considering a majority of the full season is the regular season. Steve says, I enjoy the regular season. The criticisms are overstated. Just because the playoffs are better doesn't make it bad. Yeah. It's not that it's bad. I feel unfulfilled getting done. I can watch it for just basic entertainment value, but considering my eyes are glued to the screen of like every dribble of every game for work, maybe I'm just a little burned out by it. If I was back to being a fan and you just put it on when you come home from work and you're making dinner and it's just, a second screen experience because you don't need to be as locked in as the playoffs where every second everything matters so much. A bonus stat of the night from Jish, who says tonight was the sixth consecutive road playoff loss for Denver. Their last road playoff win was game one versus Oklahoma City last year. Was Julian Strother injured? Did I miss something? You needed floor spacing tonight. And I guess, what's his face? Spencer Jones. He wasn't terrible. But Strother gave you the Strother game against Oklahoma City. Is he hurt? Am I going crazy? Okay, thank you to YouTube who continues to provide me with this important context. The strong side corner happened at 7:46 in the fourth, 2 minutes before Shannon 3. What I was referencing was both the Gobert assist. He was the difference. Understood. 7:46 in the fourth before a Shannon 3. I mean, Shannon, man, that if you let him get to the left hand, that dude's got NOS cannons on the quads. They only won that game because OKC, you're right, fouled up 3 and Chet missed his free throws. I forgot about that. They blew that shit. That was a game they probably shouldn't have won. Gosh, we didn't. Bones Highland was active for tonight's game. He banged up. He hardly played. If you told me no Io, if you told me or no Dosunmu, no Highland, no DiVincenzo, no Ant, no Kyle Anderson, where was the offense going to come from? Could Jaden McDaniels give you a two-way effort for 45 fucking minutes? We've seen him score some points before. But while also defending Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, and he was responsible for so many of those loose balls being retrieved by Minnesota. Like that was not just a go stand in the corner and grab your shorts. He was unlimited tonight. Unlimited. It must be nice to be that age and be at the peak of your physical life and performance, but I never once thought he took a possession off. And some of these veterans, like they kind of need to. Jaden, I agree with that. Jaden does not get tired. Demon says TSJ reminded me of rookie Starberry. That was a time. He's been bouncing around the Knicks games as of late. I think he was in Atlanta tonight. But yeah, man, when we saw Shannon Jr. dunk in the Thomas and Mack Center, there's two. So the way that the media, they sit on these like, there's two benches behind the stanchion that's next to the tunnels. And the rows are usually filled, the ones that are courtside, with the media for that specific game. And I remember I just like slithered my way into an extra seat. And whoever it was against, I think it was against Yves Missi in the Pelicans. He threw down a dunk where we thought like either the basket was broken, a gun, someone had just fired a gun. It was one of those dunks where like you're typing something and you're, oh, what was that? Like you're in a gym long enough to know when someone has like a perfect swish where the net crackles, or a brick that hits the backboard. It sounds like a splat, like a ham falling off the kitchen counter at Thanksgiving. Splat. This was a dunk where you're like, was that a dunk? That man has violent finishes. And during this game, I went into YouTube and I looked up some of his summer league highlights, and I'm like, I know my eyes were telling me something. Everyone's looking around like this is one of the more ridiculous athletes that we've seen come through summer league. And he has taken that athleticism in some very rare opportunity because the first time that he really got to show out on a platform like this was against Oklahoma City, game 3, the game that they won. That was kind of his coming out party and legitimized all of his potential in a very small sample size. But for that moment, you're like, damn, this kid can play. But the problem is he's on a team when it's healthy. Where the hell are you going to find minutes for Shannon Jr.? Well, tonight was the answer. And for him to hit those grenades out of the corner, and it wasn't just a red carpet dunk that he finished. He blew by his defenders. And when he was done finishing, you could see the Nuggets' body language and how every single one of those finishes resulted in a little of their soul being drained. Like, we just don't have enough tonight to be able to stay in front of that dude, let alone McDaniels and Randall's bully ball and Gobert's rim protection. He made it feel like it was just, we have too many athletes. Even with all of our guys out, we still have more athletes than you do. That's crazy to say out loud, but it's the truth. Yeah, no. Rudy Gobert is not guarding Victor Wembanyama. Yeah, he's going to guard Steph Castle. He's the one guy that they will elect to slump off of, and Rudy will play like free safety around the elbow. But they're going to need all that length against that alien. Ant-Man's always been the ultimate hype man on the bench. Contagious energy. Real quick, so with the Rockets coming back too, Ime Udoka, the shit that he said at the end of game 3, did you guys perceive that originally to him throwing his players under the bus? Or did you see it as inspiration, motivation when he said these kids need to grow up? It's that simple. Like, to me, that instruction and that calling them out publicly was meant to make them feel bad. Like, grow up. I think you guys let our organization and our fans down tonight. That's the way I interpreted or comprehended his words. But the result of which has then been responding in a way that has brought the dog out of all of them. I just want to make sure, because this is more of like a generational divide. You know, the younger generation will see critique as hate or deflection. But I really took his words because I saw people discussing it in different ways. To me, he was trying to light a fire underneath them without having to throw a chair like he's Bob Knight. That's unacceptable. But the result of which is now the Houston Rockets very much alive in this series. And in a weird way, how Reed Shepherd was how he melted under the bright lights of that game 3 finish, and LeBron taps him back, only for LeBron to run him over after yet another comeback last night. And then Reed not only hits a pull-up jumper from the elbow, he rips LeBron and then goes and gets more points at the other end. Like, the team is adapting very quickly. Good point. Debo in the Twitter chat says Chris Finch legit called out Terrence Shannon Jr. after last game, and it seemed to work out. Yeah. I'm glad to see that even a younger generation, because these kids that are playing in these games for the Timberwolves, they're almost like half the age that I am, let alone the coaches. And for them to receive that constructive criticism and do something with it, as opposed to just like, man, coach is talking shit about me. That's a wonderful thing to see. I think you should be able to provide constructive criticism without someone being offended if you do it properly. And then you also give them a path of how to remedy it. You can't just like, it's hate if you're like, bro, you suck at this, you should just stop. Like, that doesn't help anybody. But if you tell them, like, I thought they let us down, they need to grow up, And there are certain things that we need to fix. If you execute these, they will be resolved. And thus far, the Houston Rockets have proven, at least through the halfway point of this historic comeback, that they can, or at least willing and able to do it. Problem is they have to do it 2 more times. And JJ Redick gets the opportunity to start moving some chess pieces around himself. What's my favorite post-game press conference rant? That's an easy one. Mike Brown pulling out the laptop and then going through like 6 minutes of examples and like pointing his finger, that thinking the media could see what he was talking about. He just kept going and going. Either that or Darko Rajakovic. Is that how I pronounce his last name? Rajakovic. Scotty Barnes is all-star. He is going to be face of the league. That one's good. And he's like bloodshot, veins popping out of his face. All right, chat. Getting awfully quiet. Some of you, I feel like I'm ASMR. I'm your asthma to put you to sleep. So we talk some hoops as it approaches hours. What is tonight? 30th. So this is a Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. You just lose track during the playoffs. It's all the same. Take that for data. It's Friday morning, yeah. Did I see Mitchell's response on social? Mitchell Robinson or Donovan Mitchell? I'm assuming Mitchell Robinson to being ejected. But first of all, Mitchell Robinson posts ridiculously crazy stuff all the time. So nothing would surprise me. That's why Mitchell Robinson says some shit and people are just, for anyone else, it would be like a mainstream story, like NBA player. With Mitch, it's just every day, something ridiculous. It's May? No, it's not. It says April 30th. It is not May. It's April. Slow down. It's 11:08. Time zones exist. Great dub for the Knicks tonight. Hilarious dub. I want to see, yeah, of course I'm rooting for the Sixers, man. You get home court, get a team that has not been healthy all year, a team we're pretty familiar with. We match up well against. The Celtics is always just going to be, do they hit their threes that night? Even though we beat them last year. But if Orlando were to upset Detroit, things are lining up for the Knicks very well to make the finals. I had them making the finals. I've had them making the finals since the season started. It's the best team we've had since '94. How do you watch that defensive effort tonight? The execution. That's the team I thought we were going to get from Denver. Inferior time zone. No, the Pacific time is the best time zone on planet Earth for sports, news, everything. There's no better place to be than Pacific time zone. What's my optimal matchup for the Knicks in the finals if they get there? Timberwolves. I mean, the Knicks, I don't think the Knicks would win more than one game against OKC. They could beat the Spurs like we did in the NBA Cup championship. Be the first team ever to win the NBA Cup as well as an NBA championship, by the way. OG was just like OG has led the team in scoring for a majority of our victories or losses this series. His ability to make a corner three when like all is went to shit. He's just always there to like bury a good defensive possession. He's the best defender on the floor at all times. He rebounds, he leaks out, and he finishes in transition. Just so fucking solid. He's so solid. Everyone on the Knicks is so solid. And they're fully whole too. Mitchell Robinson avoided injury. Like what we did to the Hawks tonight was just such a flexing of everything that had contributed to our winning streaks this season. But now that the guys are on the floor at the same time, wasn't a night where Brunson or Cat was out against a bad team. We're just so much better than the other team. And it's been that way for a lot of the season when they actually show up. They were certainly guilty of taking some nights off. Like the first 3 quarters, you can tell it's like, do we really have to fucking try tonight? And then they just rely on Jalen Brunson to bail them out. It sends Knicks fans into a tizzy. You have players only meetings a couple of times, but this unit has been together now for 3 seasons or 3 years, 2+ seasons. The adversity of injuries, being down, hero ball, you name it. The Knicks have been through it. They know exactly how to respond. Heavy minutes from Tibbs, poor 3-point shooting, lackluster defense. They know how to solve everything on the fly. The best team the Knicks have had since '94. What's up, broski? He must be waking up. IU legend indeed. But on that note, I think this is a good time to sign off and say goodnight, as that was an epic night of hoops. And we're still only in the first round. We are potentially looking to Knicks Sixers, Knicks Celtics in the East. It could be, remember the Magic Cavs series? Even if that's what it ends up being, Magic Cavs, the first round from 2 years ago was a 7-game series. It may have been ugly, but that Magic Pistons series has been probably the most entertaining if you're okay with the poor shooting. So we could get Magic Cavs or Pistons Cavs if they come back. In the West, San Antonio, Minnesota, Lakers, Thunder is going to be a massacre. But we're headed towards a Thunder Spurs conference finals after all those fucking matchups during the head-to-heads between Chet and Wemby. I mean, that is box office, man. And then if it's the Knicks versus, I don't know, Pistons or Cavs in the conference finals in the East, plenty of good hoops to be played. The Magic blew the largest Game 7 lead ever, only to be broken a round later. That was by, I assume that was by the Nuggets to the Wolves, right? Did the Oilers lose to the Ducks? Are they eliminated? Oh, Spurs Thunder was a time, yeah. Spurs Thunder back. I forgot about those days. Forgot about the Tim Duncan at the end of his career, Kawhi against Durant, Westbrook, Serge, Steven Adams, Roberson. Yeah, Spurs Thunder. Nice little rivalry. Usually it's year 6 before the next face of the league or potential, the one, gets their first title. Giannis, LeBron, like year 6, year 7. Giannis, LeBron, Jordan. If Wemby somehow gets one in year 3, I mean, he'll not only be the best player in the world, but I'm telling you, but 20 years down the road, we're going to be having a conversation about the best player of all time. Can't do that for 2 decades, but if he starts winning them now and he somehow stays healthy, I don't know how you stay healthy at that size. But if he were to, it sure feels like he's going to be the best basketball player of all time. No one should be able to move like that at that size. No one should have the skill that he does at that size. You're supposed to be like Boban Marjanovic. You're supposed to be like Bol was supposed to be the outlier. Where is Bol now? Sean Bradley, Mark Eaton, George Mirasan. All of those gigantic humans were like just stationary big men. Yao Ming even was probably the most gifted of them all. These colossal humans are not supposed to move like Wemby does. Bobo's still hooping, just not in the National Basketball Association. Thanks, Abe. Will Zach Edey ever play again? And there's another great one. He's pretty fleet of foot for someone his size, but even then, not a chance he could ever guard Victor Wembanyama. That's barbecue chicken. Yeah, I got the game 7 Zaza videos in the queue. I got the double one in case there's another game 7. I got the triple one. If there's ever 4 game 7s, I have to make a new video, but it'll be easy. Hamed Haddadi. Was that the Iranian guy? I forgot about him. He played for the Iranian national team? Don't cancel me. I actually don't know. Max says star big men are usually best early in their career before their body breaks down. Not to say Wemby isn't impressive, but Shaq and Duncan had similar success early. Shaq was probably the answer to that. Like, what big man has moved that fleet of foot? The answer is always Shaq. Shaq was that good from 95 until 2006. he was starting to wind down in the Suns days, right? So he got a decade in. And I'm asking for double that. All right. I need to go make something to eat. It's been a long night of hoops. I went from laughing my ass off. I was cackling like a jackal to being nervous for some reason watching Nuggets versus Timberwolves. I don't even have a dog in the fight besides my pride and reputation, but that can be easily replaced. People forget everything within one day. So I'll be back to making predictions and just keep firing off the hip until it lands. And when it does, I'll brag about how smart I am and hope no one remembers the year that I picked the Nuggets to win the championship and they lost in the first round. Everybody go have a good night. We're going to do this again tomorrow. If there's something crazy, I'll be right back here. Rockets, Lakers, baby. Let's get it. It's been a pleasure. Gabagool. Of course you will, Helwig. See you later.